Here, get a name of color in the live streams for $1 a month or over at Subscribestar. So the USS Disney Peter Pan is going to get torpedoed. How's that for a title? Disney's woke Peter Pan. Well, in all seriousness, everything sucks now and will only get worse. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here. No, that's not a hyperbolic statement. Look around you and look around the past 5 years in terms of Hollywood pop culture. I know they're just dumb, fun movies, but at one time, believe it or not, movies used to be fun. But I guess that was a while. I used to be on board with the superhero genre, but I have to go back and think like, oh, that was like the stuff. The modern version of the superhero thing kind of kicked into gear about like 20 years ago, and it was fun for a while, and then it just kind of went kind of they ran out of steam. They got a little bit to the point where we are now, where everyone is replaced with everything else, and like you don't recognize. So the main character is still the original character. Yeah, that's right, that's right. But then every ancillary character has been swapped out. Yeah, yeah, you're not a bigot, are you? Yes. Is that the definition of bigot? Is that you want to see the original character? So, everything in the mainstream is cancer. At this point, just find the old stuff. Find an alternative community like Comicsgate puts out comics and graphic novels. Vox Day's got something similar. He's putting out comics on his website. Or you'd just be better off literally spending, if that free time for that entertainment part of your part of the month, you'd be better off writing your own stories. That's how bad things are. Or you want to go back and focus on watching movies from the 1940s on up. I can guarantee that you missed a lot of movies. That's kind of when I consider movies kind of they got the sound and the everything kind of was worked out by the 40s. But I mean, there's no shortage of movies from the A and the B list that you can go back and watch. It's like you never have to watch anything new ever again. But the reason people clamor for it is because of that fear of missing out. But if you missed the classic with Audrey Hepburn from the 50s, and it's like now is the perfect time to go back and watch that kind of stuff. So what happened? Well, Disney dropped their Peter Pan trailer called Peter and Wendy, which is sort of pointless to call it anything that relates to Peter Pan. It's bad. It got on YouTube. It got downvote ratioed, and the comments are gold. Even when people sincerely said it looked fun, we got in the replies and simply said no. That your feelings are not valid. Your opinion is wrong. It doesn't look like fun. You're going to be disappointed. I said that. I said that about the latest Ant-Man. I called a buddy and said, "Oh, you want to go see that Ant-Man?" And this guy's he's a nerd of this kind of like superhero genre. And he said no. He said he's going to wait for it on streaming. I was surprised. I was like, what's going on? You go out and see everything. For some reason, he looked at Ant-Man. He decided to wait for it. I went online to watch it when it came out, and it was not good. And then you start looking around at the other stuff that's coming out, and you go, oh, kind of nothing's good. Just in the superhero genre alone, you look at the past half dozen movies from DC or Marvel, and they're just like, was it bad? No, it wasn't bad, but it was like, what's that Scarlett Johansson movie that came out? It wasn't bad, right? It just wasn't. What was it? I don't know. It was just like a rice cracker or something. There was just not a whole. There was just nothing to it. It needed some more spice, but unfortunately now spice is politically incorrect, and movies companies are doing what they're doing. So, no, Peter Pan is not in this. There's some non-Peter Pan is in this. The whole time I'm waiting for Wendy to pepper spray him and to go looking to find out what he did with the real Peter Pan, who must be kidnapped, or maybe he's I don't know, what do you call him, a skinwalker or something. And of course, all the characters of the kids have been swapped out. They deleted the English kids, I think they were English, and replaced them with African, Chinese, and Indian kids. Well, I mean, there was an Indians were in the original too, but it's not Peter Pan. It's just some kind of cringy Hollywood propaganda. Disney will take everything special and precious, all those childhood memories you had, and excuse my French, but they're going to poop all over it. Because Disney is globalist lizard people. They can simply erase the past just by making this new crap and flooding the market with it, dumbing down the already dumb audience into thinking that this was always the story of Peter Pan. No, definitely not. And what are the odds the kids are going to go back and watch the 1953 Disney version or read the book? honestly, what Disney is doing should be considered a cultural war crime. Anyway, even before you see the trailer, you can see it on YouTube, Bit Chute, Odyssey, whatever. You can assume that they're going to replace the protagonist European characters with non-Europeans, but the antagonists will, of course, be the fairest of fair Europeans, probably with blue or green eyes, if they get a chance to show them up close. Otherwise, it'll be like blonde or red hair. And I think in this occasion, the pirates are English. I think they had English accents. Where in the original, at least in the cartoon, I'm gonna have to go back and read the book. The cartoon version, I think they were Spanish or Portuguese. So the good guys are going to be a diverse found family of, in this case, African, Chinese, Indians, and of course the token Wendy is the standard bullshit propaganda. They had to replace the original English kids, literally erase them from their own story, or generically vague blonde kids, wherever they're from. You can watch the 1953 version. It's so shocking to see so many blonde and red-haired characters. And that was a 53 animated version, right? And the art was oddly good in that. I mean, maybe it's always been the way. I just haven't been paying attention. You just expect it as a kid, but like there was this scene where they're drawing I think the sheet for the pirates, what do you call it, the sail for a sailboat, the pirates boat, and the way it rippled and reflected the light, it was like, whoa, that is, somebody just nailed the hell out of it. And that was 1953. And you look at modern stuff and they're showing fabrics rippling in the wind, and it's like, it just doesn't, it looks, I mean, it looks like CGI. It's like, wait a minute, how come 1953 animation is better than modern day supercomputer $1 million CGI? It's like, if the animation, what do they call it when they draw the cells or something, like the closed cell animation or something, why don't you just go back to that? I don't know. You'd have to. It seems like, I mean, was it George Lucas who kind of got people like forcing CGI way before its time with his '99 Star Wars, which was like, that looked horrible. Anyway, so the thing is, with the original, with the blonde and the red-haired characters, it's like, yeah, that's how it's supposed to look before they updated it for a brain-dead Hollywood audience. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that Peter and Wendy is going to take $50 million and just light it on fire. I think the Little Mermaid's probably going to do, well, I don't know. I think the Little Mermaid has more of a built-in audience because it's kind of you got a pox girl who's singing. I think there's an audience, like a musical focused audience, but I also don't think it's going to do, like Black Panther did $1 billion sort of thing, and even Black Panther Part 2 I think did $800 million. Congratulations to them for that, because that was not a good movie. That did not deserve $800 million. Anyway, so they're going to take a whole just. I mean, you think about it, like wheelbarrows full of, how many $1 bills would make that up? It's like wheelbarrows full of $1 bills wrapped in, bundles, and they just light it on fire. Oh, well, wait, why are we doing that? Well, you could just make a good movie. If you made a good movie, people would be bringing you wheelbarrows full of that money. But you guys are going to light it on fire. That's how much money Disney has, that they can make these movies. And if they lose $50 million on this, it's really not a big deal. So I was watching the 1953 version. It's only an hour and 16 minutes. It's a kid's movie. I mean, it's a great movie for a kid's movie. And 70 years later, it's better than anything anyone could make today. Everything today is going to just suck soy, vegan, salty balls. And no, I'm not being a pessimist or an optimist. I don't think. I think I'm being kind of pretty right down the middle. This is what it is. You're going to get tired of saying that in the upcoming years as you accept the de-evolution into a second world. Hollywood is full of this critical theory spewing globalists, but the audience isn't. The audience are just normal people who, are familiar with these earlier movies that came before it from your childhood. And plus, there's some issue with funding from activist mutual funds like BlackRock with Larry Fink, State Street, Vanguard, that kind of thing. As long as they have money to push for these globalist diversity, inclusion, equity. No, they call it something. There's another acronym for it. It's like EFT or something, or NFT. No, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. That's not going to change because they have effectively infinite money because they're using your money. This is the future of Hollywood. You don't make a trailer like this or Willow or Rings of Power or She-Hulk She-Hulk or Witcher Blood Rain, or the rest, like all the woke stuff that comes out. I mean, if you want to like out of all of those, let's see, Willow, Rings of Power, She-Hulk, or Witcher. You're probably better off going. If you had to watch something, I would say watch Willow, because at least you got the. Nah, it's all just dog. It's all sucks, but at least Willow had like a little bit better feeling. It wasn't so aggressively, insultingly, arrogantly bad. It was bad, but the others, like Rings of Power, was just they're slapping you in the face with just dongs of cringe, essentially. So that's one of the reasons the new Peter and Wendy sucks. First of all, girl power. Girl power is cancer. Girls are usually very boring for an audience. But more importantly, the 1953 version was a group of people who all looked, oh dear Lord, who all looked like they belonged together. They had verisimilitude. They at least came from the same area of the world. They had a similar culture and thousands of years of history together. The story made sense with them in it. The remake, as I don't know if I get hit for this, I probably should have slowed this down to. The remake looks like you can see it's cultural Marxist reimagining. It's got people from all over the world. It's just a casting call. So the lizards at Disney gather together. They throw a net outside of somewhere in LA, and it's like they just want to show you how much they hate the original characters by removing the original characters with people who were not, I mean, like, they're not what the movie's all about. So we see a screen with a cast whose only purpose is to be diverse. There is no care given to the original story. They don't care at all. I mean, stores now are only vectors to push propaganda. This, like, how many times can I say, cultural Bolshevism before YouTube shows me the door? In fact, they hate the original stories, and blonde and red-haired characters, they hate them the most. And I only say such a hyperbolic tinfoil statement because they hated them enough to erase them from this movie. All they had to do was create something new, i.e., write their own story from scratch. But how exactly does that work if you're looking at the story elements? How does an organic story develop with these characters from all over the world in the time setting and with pirate ships? It doesn't. That's why the story fails, because nobody believes it. And I'm going to assume that the evil pirates in the new version are going to be blonde Englishmen. When I think the original pirates were Spanish or Portuguese, I gotta have to read the book, because I just saw the movie, and they all had dark hair and dark eyes, where the other characters had blue and green eyes. I mean, I know it sounds a little petty, but once you kind of start noticing this stuff, you notice. And the thing is, it's okay to notice. It's okay to notice all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so you look at Disney, it's like, hey, why don't you make the pirates African or Arab? Isn't it kind of weird that the bad guys are always so fair-haired and light-eyed? I mean, like, across movies, across genres, from movies into comic books. I mean, doesn't it seem like there's a massive over-representation of that? And you start looking at it, I think once you start noticing, like, you get a piece of paper and you start taking notes on this, you're like, oh, this is really weird. This is more than weird. It's actually very disturbing, because they're dehumanizing an entire group of people. Plot twist, it's people who look like you and I, the beautiful green and blue-eyed peoples of the world. So no, they're not going to make the pirates anything other than... I mean, it's the example, a great example is the 2008 Iron Man. Very fun movie, fun, dumb Iron Man movie. He did a great job. They go out to the desert, and they're fighting people who are... in that area, in modern days, there's that conflict in the warm, sandy places. It's like everyone is from that area. It fits, right? That made sense. There's a lot of bad folks there. And in the 2000 and the Black Adams movie that just came out with what's his face, The Rock, the bad guys instead of some fictional country, right? Instead of bad guys being from that area, like the 3 or 4 groups that are around North Africa in that area, the bad groups named after Greek goddesses and all that stuff. The bad guys in the movie Black Adams had English accents. They were like an English. What was that group, like private contractor group during the Bush years? I think it was also called Blackstone or BlackRock or something. And that was just like, it didn't have verisimilitude, because you're asking like, wait, are these the UN? I wasn't paying the closest of attention. Were they supposed to be the UN? Were they like a BlackRock type of group? What exactly were they, and why were you making them the bad guys when you have those other groups that are already in the area who are very much the bad guys? Like, don't get me wrong, American imperialism, Western, imperialism being proxy wars 10,000 miles away. I'm against that all the way, but simultaneously, you can also say, yeah, but the people who are running around those countries with Toyotas with the 50 Browning bolted to the back, those guys are bad guys also. Like, both things are equally true. But in the Black Adams movie, they didn't put those guys in the movie. They put English guys in the movie. It's like, that's a little bit of cultural Marxism right there. Anyway, so it's like, you look at the film work of this and the editing in this thing. It looks fantastic, right? I mean, these people, Disney obviously knows what they're doing in that regard. But then you look at the characters, and it's just, take the movie, roll it up, and you might as well smoke it, because it's going to be, it doesn't look like it makes sense. You're like, so Peter Pan. Like, wasn't the original character? I don't know what the original character. Say it was English, but I mean, you know what they were. It's like it all fit together. What was Peter Pan? It kind of felt like Huck Finn, Huckleberry Finn's story a little bit. Anyway, honestly, I'm surprised I've been able to say this stuff for so long on YouTube. I guess it's the benefit of having a small channel. It's kind of a cell phone there. It probably won't be for too much longer, which is where Rumble and Odyssey come in. Those are fantastic platforms. And so, Subscribestar. Thanks everyone over there. You guys are the real heroes. Listening to this on YouTube, you're like, why would someone support a stupid YouTube channel? I think it's because it's for the Odyssey and Bit Chute videos, which, Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.